Welcome back to the show. Today we're talking innovation ideas for development in Nigeria. We're focusing on innovation and development in Nigeria. We'll be exploring cutting edge solutions in education, healthcare, agriculture, energy, infrastructure, finance, and security, from e learning platforms to precision agriculture, and from telemedicine to renewable energy solutions. We'll be discussing the innovative ideas that can drive growth and improve lives and position Nigeria for that 21st century success. Joining me in the studio virtually this morning is Segun Sopitan. Segun Sopitan is a business advisory, financial and customer experience consultant with 25 years working experience in various sectors of the Nigerian economy, including banking, ICT, manufacturing, oil and gas, and hospitality. He is the principal consultant of Woodbridge and Scott Consulting. As you can hear, he's an expert on various fields. He'll share his insights and perspectives on these innovative solutions with us this morning, and I cannot wait. I hope you cannot wait also. Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Segun. How are you doing?
I'm very fine, thank you. Thanks for having me. I've been
Yes.
listening with rapt attention to your conversation. Very interesting.
Thank you
Well done.
very much. Well, this is a conversation that is very personal to me. Nigeria's development and economic growth has had so many drawbacks. We've had maybe today it looks as if we're going forward. Before you know it, we're like 10 steps backward. And it's almost like we are stuck and nothing will change. So it brings me to ask this question. What are the most significant challenges facing Nigeria's development and how can we address them?
Wow. That's a very wide question. Um, so when you say Nigeria's development, I assume you mean as a society, as a country,
Yes.
us making progress together. Yeah. So I think the biggest problem that we have as a country today is leadership. I mean, there's no getting around that unfortunate conundrum that we find ourselves pretty much since our existence as an independent nation since 1960. The truth is, we've just not been able to throw up the types of leaders that can drive the efforts, the initiatives, the coordination, the planning that is required for consistent progress and development of any society. And, and to drive that point of, if you take a look at, people, nations that you could argue have had the same challenges, similar demographic complexities, diversity issues, having large ethnic groups, large, divergent religious leanings with a large population. Take countries like Malaysia, if you just look at the Asian tigers, and then look at other places, maybe in the Middle East. Dubai, usually the United Arab Emirates is usually the favorite example that we all like to point to.
Yeah.
And even if you look across the African continent, in places like Egypt, what you find is that these countries have had very methodical, well-coordinated growth and development plans that they've implemented. And everybody likes to look at that picture of Dubai in 1973. That's just maybe 50 years ago or thereabouts. And look at what Dubai is today. So what's missing for Nigeria is that we've not had a clear vision, a clear direction, a clear plan to say this is what we would like to be in 30 years or 20 years or 50 years. It's never really been something that we've been very strong on. And that's why we're where we are. So whatever progress that we've had, whatever development that we've had, whether you're talking about in terms of innovation and technology or just generally speaking, economic development and progress of the society as a whole, it's been accidental. It's just things that have happened because we exist and because we will have presidents, we will have governors, we have systems in place that must run. Progress and development is inevitable. But that kind of progress and development cannot achieve you know, our full potential. It can't unlock and reveal what we really can be and what we really truly deserve to be. You know, so I think at the bottom of all of that is just the fact that we've not had leaders who are selfless, who are visionary, who have a clear idea of what they want their country to be, and who can galvanize the people behind those ideas, behind those visions, to drive implementation, you know, in an effective manner across different governments, across different administrations, you know, over decades. That's the missing link. It's that we've just not been blessed to have had the kind of leaders that can drive this kind of change. One day it will happen, I'm sure of it, but God knows when.
So I like the fact that you stated that, you know, we have governments that, I like to put it that they are actually very busy. I just like to see it like that. But I want to believe that we have private entities that, you know, hungry for development in Nigeria. And the people as well, because, I mean, see me, you, and Okiki talking about innovative ideas in order for the country to get better. So since our government is busy, let's talk about the private entities now, the private sectors. Now, what are those innovative ideas, right? Because there are just a lot of things that we are, you know, that I would say we are suffering from, or do I say they are the problems? We talk about fuel now, you say, oh, that's why we have CNG, but still yet the price of fuel is still the same. Check out what I'm saying. We talk about insecurity, food insecurity, till tomorrow. You see the farmers complaining every day that one person is coming to, you know, take over their farms and all of those things. So there's just a lot of problem. Now, what do you think what are those ideas that we need to start giving the private entities now so that they would hear and, you know, for the country itself to be more developed? Because, I mean, every day we hear that, you know, Nigeria is a developing country. I don't see us as that because every day if you look at the problems, it doesn't look like we are going anywhere. We're just going around in circles. Today you hear, oh, an idea is out. The next year you hear implementation is the problem. So I want to know those innovative ideas that, you know, private entities need to hear now in order for them to also put their hands together and, you know, for the country to be better than it is now.
You know, it's an interesting perspective that you bring, and sadly, there's very little that can happen outside of properly coordinated environments that encourages growth. There's very little that can happen if there isn't the appropriate policy framework, legislative framework. Before we even get into the issues of infrastructure and all of that, just having the right policies and legislation. So the point I'm making is you can't take government out of the equation. The very, very essence of government is to provide, you know, a stable environment within which private entities, private capital, private investors, you know, innovators can then, you know, do what they do. They are very good at what they do, but what you find is that they are hampered. They are hampered by government. So you say government is busy. I agree with you. They are very, very busy. They are always seems to be something that we're doing, something or the other that we're doing, you know, at any point in time. The thing that also be for private sector operators to just to do what they are capable of doing. You know, in fact, much of the development that we've experienced as a country, you know, in our history, has happened because of private sector mainly. But if you look at the most significant bits of progress that we have achieved, you find government policy at the bottom of it. And my favorite example is the GSM revolution. You know, prior to 2001, you know, mobile telephony was a luxury. It was something that big boys, you know, would use as a status symbol. You guys, I don't know, you may not, you know, remember that time, but there was a time that people would go around with these things that we used to call not 9 knots. You know, it was a mobile phone provided by Nitel, the mobile version arm of Nitel. And I think at that time, as long ago as that was, I'm talking of 20-something years, 25 years, you know, or thereabouts ago, it used to cost maybe about 300,000 to get one not 090 phone, you know. But then in came the government of President Olusegun Obasanjo, who decided that they wanted to liberalize that sector, and they simply put in the most transparent government bidding process that we have ever had in our history, and we have not had since then. And you can see the outcome today. What you have today, the fact that, you know, the average mama on the road, the vulcanizer, the mechanic, you know, whatever, vocational people, not to talk of middle class and then the super rich, and access telephony and data and access the internet is down to that one single policy that one single leader put in place 25 years ago, right? So you can't run away from the importance of the policy framework, the regulatory framework in driving innovation and growth. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we can do as private people. There's a lot of innovation and development that we can talk about, and we should talk about them, because regardless of whatever government is doing or not doing, life must continue, development must continue, private people must invest, they must reap their returns. And what better areas to invest in other than in areas where, as we know today, technology and innovation is the lifeblood of the world. We're in the information and ideas age now. We've moved from the industrial age. We're now in the innovation and ideas knowledge-driven age. And we're now talking about AI. And the kind of thing that I can do on my computer, that people do on their computers, just using AI, is literally mind-boggling. And these things just 2 years ago did not exist. These capabilities just 2 years ago did not exist.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, you've got things like Mid-Journey, you know, I mean, you can go on and on. AI platforms, AI tools that generate videos, that generate scripts. I can generate a podcast script today by just typing a simple prompt on any of the AI platforms, whether it's GPT, you know, or Copilot, whatever you want to talk about, and it will produce a fantastic script for you that all you need to do is just localize or adjust it, you know, to your own specific needs at that time. You know, so the things that can be done in terms of innovation and technology are tremendous. They're pretty much limitless, but we need governments to, if that development is going to produce the kind of growth that we need as a country, there has to be coordination to it. Where that coordination is lacking, we're just going to have little bits and pieces of success stories here and there. You know, we'll celebrate them, but we will not have that concerted, deliberately driven, deliberately channeled development that will result in, or say, for example, achieving certain GDP size, you know, certain levels of literacy, for example, and so on and so forth at a set time. It's just all going to be random and haphazard. We don't want that. We definitely want to harness all of this in a coordinated manner. You know.
Thank you very much, Mr. Segun. So we'll quickly go on a break right now, and when we come back, we'll continue this very important discussion that we have for Nigerians this morning. Please stay with us.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Welcome back to the show, my dear viewers and audience. We still have Mr. Segun Sopitan here, who is giving us tremendous insights on innovation ideas for development in Nigeria. And he has mentioned things about how the whole NITEL thing came to play over 25 years ago, the current ChatGPT AI thing going on. And this is so interesting because if you see it from 25 years ago, what was the in thing? It was just getting GSM phones. And now almost everybody has phones, and it's now the AI thing. People are even starting to go beyond AI, trying to look for things like other technological, advancements that will drive change on and on. I don't know if Mr. Segun is still here with us.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yes, so I would like to know, what are the most exciting, innovative trends you are seeing in Nigeria right now, apart from ChatGPT, and how do you think this innovation can be harnessed to drive sustainable development in Nigeria?
Well, people would always do what they want to do. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about the Nigerian person. It's the fact that we're all very proud of it. We've got this resilient spirit. We've got this never say die attitude. We've got this can-do attitude, towards issues. And it's not a surprise that Nigerians excel and thrive when they leave the shores of this country and they go into societies where things work better, because we're so used to surviving in a very difficult environment. And I say this because in spite of all of the challenges that we've had, we do have some really very exciting developments in different spheres, across the country. You have, for example, the one that I found quite interesting is, right now you're talking about robotics. So like you say, people are now, all of a sudden and very quickly, AI is pretty much an everyday thing now for a lot of people. We're now saying, what more? What next? What's the next frontier? What can we do beyond this? And people are now finding ways to tie AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, to robotics. And so we've got a few across the world. We've got humanoid robots that have been sculpted to look very human. And then because of AI, because they're driven by an AI operating system, they talk human. And so you can imagine, if you have a person speaking across to you on the TV screen, and maybe if you don't look very carefully, you won't realize that the person is not even a human being. It's actually a robot. Exactly. Because all its mannerisms, its gestures, the language it's using, and all of that is very human, and then it also looks human. So Nigeria has not been left out of that race, if I may call it that. So we've got our own Jadrolita, and I think there's another one, many or something like that. We've got quite a few robotic, humanoid, AI-driven innovations, in our country as well. And recently, the Jadrolita got endorsed, I think that's the word, to represent Samsung, which is quite interesting. So there's stuff like that going on in that sphere. And then, of course, outside of that, in agriculture, there's quite a lot happening. Private sector driven technology application in the agribusiness space. So we now have agri-tech, where people are using drones to drive irrigation, to drive pesticide distribution, to drive fertilizer distribution in a very targeted way that increases the yield of the farms that we're talking about significantly. So we've got stuff like that happening. We've got, in that same agricultural space, we've got the use of gene splicing technology to begin to improve the yields, to eliminate unfavorable or undesired traits and attributes of specific crops, and then come up with seedlings that will produce significantly better yields than if that technology was not available. you could go on and on in the different sectors. In Nollywood, for example, technology is now beginning to come into play with the deployment of special effects. And all of a sudden, you're beginning to see movies that are Nigerian movies that have very, very fantastic international world-class standard ambient sound, ambient music, special effects, and all of that. And you can go on and on. Telemedicine, in the space of telemedicine as well, in this country, people are now beginning to deploy telemedicine technology to reach out to patients without bringing them into the hospital. Those technologies are available in Nigeria today. So there's so many of them like that. But I always say, we need to bring it all together so that we can reap the benefits in a way that will generate multiplier effects, development and growth for the country, rather than just having these random ideas that are being put in place by private people. We need to bring it all together, but there's so much going on in the tech and innovation space in Nigeria at the moment.
So can I quickly ask before God's Beauty takes over? You've mentioned so many things, from agri-tech to telemedicine to the fact that we need to be more innovative with our ideologies. But if you notice that sometimes, or most times, it's always the international bodies that bring these innovations to us and then now get Nigerians to take it up or learn or know from it. So what opportunities do you now see for like Nigerian innovators? Like what opportunities would you think that they should tap into where it's solely full-bred Nigerian idea, and then they can now use that as an opportunity to, help the multiplier, as you have said, not just in Nigeria, but to now access like global markets and partnerships?
I mean, there are a lot of grants and funds. I'd like to look at it from that perspective. So, I mean, look, we have. Maybe it's because we're so many. I mean, 250 million people is a lot of people. So we tend to pop up brilliant minds, here and there. We've got people that are almost uneducated, doing mind-boggling things in the space of innovation. People that, is a mechanic and he produces a drone. I've seen videos of guys that have produced drones that actually take off and fly. And these guys are not educated, they're just technicians, When I say they're not educated, I mean, they don't have the higher degrees that a lot of people tend to flaunt. Maybe secondary school certificate holder, but he's a technician. And he builds a drone, and there are so many other things like that we've seen people build. In the area of robotics, young guys in schools building moving robots that can actually have a lot of use cases in the business world. But the missing link has been, funding for these ideas, funding for this innovation. So there are a lot of grants out there, even from the federal government, that's targeted at innovation. For example, the federal government has got this ideas program going on right now, where they're trying to drive the development of technology, technical education, and vocational training, TEVTS. The Ideas program also has provision for the giving out of grants to people that are deserving, people that have gone through the program, they've been trained, and then they get money, actual money. I read, an article where you were talking about a $50 billion grant that is available for certain African countries in the space of energy development. So there are a lot of grants like that out there that people can tap into, that can help drive innovation, that can help fund, the building, the scaling of these ideas. And innovation is expensive. One of the major things that the developed economies and societies have over us as Africans is that they invest heavily in research and development. Innovation is expensive. You've got to experiment and you will spend money. You're going to build a model and it will fail. And you trash it and it might have cost you $1 million, $2 million, $10 million, speaking at a very low scale. So innovation requires funding. But the good news is that there's quite a lot of grants out there that people can benefit from, both from the Nigerian government, from the United Nations, from other bilateral, arrangements with other countries like the United States, the EU, and so on and so forth. So if you're in the innovation space, if you're in the tech and innovation space, that's one area where you can actually tap into to help drive your ideas and your innovation.
Speaking earlier about some of the sectors that we've seen technology play in, and I really like that, right? But look at the structure the educational system in Nigeria has. I mean, if you see graduates coming out and they're just more of job seekers than, innovators. And I don't know if it's because of the challenges that, innovators actually face in Nigeria. I mean, we had, I think Adeleke, when he was talking about the whole power plant thing and how he wanted it to come to life and all of that, and how a particular person doesn't want to sign a particular paper or something that would just help him out with what he's doing. So I feel like there's a lot of that. But what can the young Nigerians? I mean, we have leaders of tomorrow, like the youth and all of that. What do you think they can learn, or what are the advices you would give to them in order for them to be to see beyond just like the problems or the obstacles that they are facing right now? And because again, all of this, these things you've made mention of, the problem, the private sectors that we keep talking about, you see that there's this hunger for development, and they somehow see beyond the obstacles. So what are those advices you would give, young innovators, young people that want to be innovators, want to be entrepreneurs, for them to just see beyond the obstacles that they are facing right now?
Okay, great question. Thanks. I think the first thing that I would say to anybody that is trying to play in the space of technology, science, innovation, development, and all of that, would be to be deliberate, to be purposeful, not to be random. And this is very critical. What I have found, in my journey, whether in business or in life, is that as long as you can think it, then you can do it. And this is a reality. The only limit to what's possible for us is our thinking, is our willingness to imagine, to dream. So the first point is to be ready to think and innovate. The second thing will be to, as much as possible, document, those ideas. To document those ideas. Sorry about that. The second thing to do would be to make sure that in the process of planning, you are documenting. It's one big mistake that a lot of people, make, where you've got this idea, you're excited by it, you wake up in the morning and there's a light bulb in your brain. It's just come together all of a sudden. Usually ideas come very early in the morning, or when your brain is, most active, most productive. And then, the idea comes and you just jump up and you start doing it. Big mistake. The next thing you have to do once you ideated, you've got this idea, and you are so excited, this thing can work, is to quickly write it down. Put it in black and white. It can be on, pen and paper, or on your phone. Almost every smart device you've got around you has got some sort of a note taker. They've got voice notes. Pick up your voice note and start talking. Just reel out that idea very quickly. This is important because ideas are ephemeral. They disappear. They just, it's like smoke. It just dissipates, and before you know what's happening, you really can't quite grasp it anymore. It's all gone. You can still have little bits and pieces of it, but it's gone. Most of it is gone. So document it, write it down, take a voice note, whatever you want to do, but make sure you've got it down. And then the third thing would be to then begin to plan. Then develop a plan, to say, this is where I am, this is where I want to go, and this is the pathway that I'm going to go through. And in going through that, you probably will need help. If you're a young innovator, you probably don't know how to do it. You probably won't know what the plan will be. So you need to reach out to people who have done it before you, or people who are ahead of you. They may not have done what you want to do, but they've done something, and they have some sort of a pathway that they went through to putting that together. And then the fourth thing, in my view, would be, okay, begin to put your plan together for how you will fund this. And I tell you something, People talk about money and capital being a problem for business, but I found that it's not quite true. If you have a good idea and you've documented it properly, professionally, this is where things like, AI tools comes in. You can put together a brilliant world-class presentation, whether it's in PowerPoint or any other, media, that would look as if it was developed by McKinsey's or by Accenture, but it was done by AI on your laptop. Put together a good presentation, and people that have money, there are people out there who have money, they're actually looking for safe investment outlets, So you can put your ideas together on paper, make sure that it looks good, it's presentable, and then begin to talk to people around you, and you'll find the funding. So I think it's a mix of making sure you're being deliberate, making sure you're documenting things, making sure you've got a plan, then go out there and look for the money that you need, because you will need money at some point in that journey. Go out to get the money. Money is out there. You just need to find it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Segun. So I like that while you were speaking, you have also highlighted the kind of advice you want young Nigerians who want to go in through innovation and entrepreneurship should take, the lessons that they should take from there, and how there's so many opportunities for them to tap into just by doing the work, the groundwork. But as we wrap up the show in a few minutes, I want to know what your vision is for Nigeria's development in the next 10 to 20 years, and how can innovation help us achieve that vision?
Thanks. I mean, I wish I were the president, then that would be easier to achieve. But since I'm not, I'll still say my own, And in fact, the truth of the matter is that for Nigeria to become what we can become, there is no other way to go about it than through technology and innovation across all spheres of economic activity. We have to tap into technology to fast track our development, because we're so far behind. So there's this thing they call the leapfrog effect, where the people that are behind have the opportunity to leapfrog the people that are ahead of them, using the tools, the channels, the technology, the ideas that those that are ahead of them have already used. Like, the work has been done for you. All you have to do is to, piggyback off those things, the experiences that others have had ahead of you, and leapfrog and jump ahead and be a power ahead of them. So for me, the only way forward for Nigeria is to tap into the leapfrog effect idea, is to look at, the journey that the countries that would like to benchmark and compare ourselves to, the journey they've traveled. What are the things they've done? And we've already started achieving, this in certain spaces within our economy and our country. I'll give you an example. Most people don't realize it. If you don't travel out of the country, you won't know, right? And again, that's something I would like to talk about. Travel is very, very crucial and important in the development process. It broadens your mind. It widens your scope. You see things that you didn't know existed just by traveling, just by being out there. And I'm not just talking about international travel. Even if it's to travel from Lagos to Ikole, you will see things that you didn't know existed somewhere.
Yes, I agree with you.
Exactly. Yeah. So travel is very critical. Now, in my travels, I found that one of the shocking things I discovered, and then you talk to your contemporaries and you discover that it's true, is that Nigeria has achieved the leapfrog effect in our payment systems. Nigeria has one of the most advanced payment systems in the world, believe it or not. I mean, the kind of things that we do in Nigeria today and we take for granted don't exist in most developed countries. In the United States, in the United Kingdom, they achieve development to a point, and because their society is organized, it's working for them and they're happy with it. You have your ATM, you can walk into your bank and do your transfers, and all of that, and that's that about that. Any innovation that you see in a lot of these societies that is moving the needle beyond the traditional payment methodologies is driven by mostly by Nigerians or, people from places like Nigeria.
Thank you so much.
In Nigeria today,
Thank you so much, Mr. Segun. You have been amazing. Yes, thank you very, very much for this insightful contribution that you've come on this wonderful show to tell us about. I hope we'll have you on other days to tell us more about what we can do as Nigerians to drive change from your consulting expertise and every other field that you've ventured into. So thank you very much. Thank you. We were glad to have you. And thank you to God's Beauty also. She's always
Thank you
here
so
to
much,
make the
Okiki.
day a better one for me. And thank you to our viewers. Thank you for joining us on this important discussion. Do ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow us on all our social media engagement and platforms. We love you. We'll see you next week. Hey.
Hello, you. Yes, you. This is Usayome Sale from Ways Prime Time. Now, we appreciate your continued support for watching our content, following us across all our social media. But we've noticed, for those of you watching us on YouTube, 88.5% of you who watch our content aren't subscribed to our channel. Why? Now, if you are enjoying our content, you enjoy our shows, and you want to stay updated on all things Ways, it's time to hit that subscribe button below. Now, subscribing isn't just for you. It's for the growth of our channel. It helps us get bigger and better. With your support, we can continue to bring even more intriguing and exciting content. How about you subscribing right now and being a part of our community?